Let's talk about Lancelot, one of my favorite characters in the roster of Granblue Fantasy Relink. Lancelot, it looks just so amazing, looks fantastic, and overall everything about Lancelot is just gorgeous. The guy is a high damaging DPS that doesn't care about anything that's happening around him because he's going to bypass everything thanks to the hyper armor that he has that is called Stout Heart. And the Stout Heart is basically going to be the bread and butter of your character. There's two things that you could possibly be doing with Lancelot by using your regular basic attacks and your combo attacks. Your regular basic attacks are going to have a little bit more damage depending on how you handle them, and then you're going to be mixing and matching them with your special attack that is going to allow you to have the Stout Heart, and it's also going to allow you to close the distance with the enemy whenever you need to without having the necessity to being without being interrupted at all, because you have Stout Heart. You have hyper armor, and also do have in mind that while you're playing with Lancelot, since you're going to be very aggressive, you also need to be very careful, because since you do have your hyper armor, you might be receiving much more damage than the one that you are supposed to be receiving. So all the tools that you're going to use with Lancelot are going to be based on managing all of that. Let's talk about the basic attack first, and that is going to be, like always, the bread and butter of your character. You're going to mix and match it with the special attack, but your basic attack, the way of them balancing not to be mixing and matching, and like basically you can change the regular and the special attack to have infinite hyper armor. But that is not how you're going to get the most damage or the most DPS with Siegfried, because actually the most DPS that you are going to get with Siegfried is going to be by using your regular basic attack, but you also have to time it. If you time properly your basic attacks, you will see Lancelot glowing red like you see on screen whenever I do manage to nail the patterns. That is one thing that it is very important with Lancelot. There are many things happening around you. You have to be very careful with when to dodge, how to dodge, the enemy patterns, your character patterns. But you also have to be very careful because you are not allowed to mash the basic attack button with Lancelot, because what you want to be doing is timing that basic regular attack. That is going to be the highest amount of source of DPS that Lancelot is going to have. If you time it properly, Lancelot is going to be glowing red, and that is going to increase the damage of your basic attacks, hence giving you that much more DPS than the rest of everything that you're going to have with the roster. The second thing that you can do is that you can use your special attack. Your special attack is going to give you Stout Heart, which is hyper armor. You cannot be interrupted while you are in hyper armor. I think that there's a couple of attacks that actually are going to interrupt you, especially when it comes to debuffs and stuns, so that is something that can most certainly happen. But one thing that I found myself doing is that if I were to be abusing the Stout Heart because of the hyper armor, one thing that you can do, because this is chainable, you use a regular attack and then Stout Heart with a special attack. Regular, special, regular, special, regular, special. Again, like I said, that is not something that you want to be doing, because you're going to get that much more DPS if you properly time your basic attacks to get that red glow for your Siegfried. Now, if that's the case, why would I want to be using my special attack? Basically, to close the distance, you're going to be very aggressive with Siegfried, and that allows you to always, because it has amazing tracking, the special attack has amazing tracking. Whenever you see that the enemy is getting away from you, you immediately combo into a Stout Heart, which is going to travel immense amounts of distance for you to be able to keep on the assaults, but also you're not going to be knocked down, because you're going to have that hyper armor that you are going to get from your special attack Stout Heart. One thing that you need to have in mind, one thing that I love about this all, is that you can also cancel any of your attack animations. You can cancel the basic attack animation, and you can also cancel the Stout Heart special attack. The special attack is going to plunge Siegfried into the air, and one thing that I love about that is that even while you are in the air, you can still cancel that attack animation by dodging. So if you find yourself fighting against a monster, against a boss that is very aggressive, you can cancel your attack animation even while you're on your mid stout hard, for you to be able to bypass that and dodge the attack, get those amazing iframes. So it's just, everything is just a win-win scenario when it comes to Siegfried. Let's talk about the special attacks that you are going to have with Siegfried and how are you going to use them to get the most out of them. Remember that some things might probably change, but you have the skeleton of your character, you know, basically you have an idea of how this works, and now we're going to discuss which are the best skills that could suit the playstyle for Siegfried to maximize the damage that you have. And this is the first one, which I am not going to pronounce. This is the first special attack that you have with your skill, your cooldown. It's a multi-slash launch attack chainable into a basic combo. It grants stout heart to Siegfried while executing the skill. And you will notice something very weird, and that is why I don't think that this is going to be a major skill for your roster. Yes, it deals quite a bit of damage, but this is just basically an upgraded version of your regular basic skill attack, your regular special skill attack, the triangle attack, that it also travels a long distance and that it also gives you stout heart. So it's just a better version, and it also has the earth element. So yeah, I mean, there's that. I don't think that this is something that you should be using that much, or that you should be maximizing the focus, the priority on your skills for this one. Yes, it is a better version of your skill attack, your special skill attack, but the special attack that you have, you always have it available, so you're always going to be using it. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of a weird thing. Then we have Malignance. This one you're going to be spamming it as often as you can. This is going to be the one that you're going to be using whenever you have the cooldown available, or I'd say that one of those situations where you're going to be using this thing a little bit more is also when you have the enemy knocked down, where you have the enemy prone on the ground, when you have those special things for you to be able to increase the damage. Basically, Malignance gives you a boost for 30% damage and also 30% defense. So one thing that even if the enemy is not prone, you're going to get advantage of this, because like I said with Siegfried, you're going to be using quite a lot of stout heart hyper armor, and that being the case, you're going to benefit a little bit more from having a little bit more of that 30% extra defense while also having that 30% extra attack. So this is just regular basic. You're going to be using this as often as you can. And this is just going to be one of those skills that you're going to spam whenever you have the cooldown available. Then we have Nelnev Nav. Unleashes a slash that travels along the ground and deals high amount of stun. This is one that you would be using for a specific character build. When you have your sigils, if you're building a character, remember that Siegfried, because of its weapon, because of the nature of the character, it's going to deal quite a lot of posture damage, stun damage to the enemy, to the monsters. So Siegfried, it's an amazing character that you can be using to prone down, to knock down the enemies, the monsters, and your crew, your party, they are always going to love you because of that. This is one of the skills that you're going to be spamming whenever you have the cooldown available, again, because it's going to produce that much more stun damage. If you pair Siegfried with stun sigils, that is going to make you the MVP of proning down monsters, of knocking down monsters, and your party is going to love you because of. Then we have Lomba the Air. This is, I'd say, that my favorite, although you're not going to use it that often, and it's also going to be dependent on how good or how not good you are at the game. If you're not a very good player, I advise for you to have this at all times with your Siegfried. If you're a very good player, you have very good reflexes, you're very good at dodging, then this is something that you should be replacing with something that is going to increment your DPS a little bit more. So basically, Lombra the Air, what does is that it readies the Siegfried's weapon to parry and counter. Now remember that Siegfried can bypass any attack animation by cancel them with dodges. So like I said, if you're a very good skill player, you're always going to be dodging no matter what. But the one situation that I like to use Lombra the Air quite a lot is whenever those enemies charge, that very heavy hitting finisher that opens the area effect on the ground, and it's very difficult to pinpoint when are they going to finally launch the assault, the attack, because they charge it for quite a while. If you're using Lombardia, Siegfried doesn't care about that, because Siegfried sits there for like 50 years waiting for the enemy to launch that attack, and it doesn't matter if it's one of those big one-shot attacks that quite literally one-shot you. Siegfried doesn't care. He's going to just ready his weapon, stand in there for like 50 years waiting for the enemy to finally finish the charge of that one hitter and retaliate on top of everything. So you're not only going to be protected, you're also going to retaliate with this thing. So this is one of those attacks that you're not going to be spamming. You should always be saving for those situations where you think that you're going to get one-shotted. This is going to save you real good. And like I said, the frames of this thing are just too generous. This is just a lifesaver. And then finally we have Salvatore. This is one of my favorites as well, and I wouldn't see why would you not have this in your roster whenever you have it available in the full launch of the game. This grants you debuff immunity and drain to the entire party. Have in mind that Malignance, for example, that increases your damage by 30% and your defense by 30%, that only applies to Siegfried. This, on the other hand, the debuff immunity and the drain, the lifesteal, is going to apply to the entire party. So let's say that you're fighting against something that applies quite a lot of debuffs, and your healer is having quite a bit of an issue trying to sustain the party. You can act as an off healer whenever you have this thing available, because it's always going to deal, it's going to add lifesteal to your character, to every single one of your crew members. So this is just an overall amazing skill to have at all times. That is everything that you need to know about Siegfried. That's Siegfried guides. Remember, of course, at the launch of the game, we're going to have a little bit more polished game guides, character guides. Remember to join the Discord. We're going to be playing Granblue Fantasy quite a bit on the Discord for the community. Remember to like the video. It really helps me, like you have no idea. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And remember that if no one saw you today, you're a gorgeous and beautiful person. You are indeed a gorgeous and beautiful person. I will be seeing you goddamn gorgeous and beautiful people in the next one. Have a beautiful day. Goodbye.